Hello, welcome to the third day of TorontoJS Presents International Women's Day 2022 with Women Techmaker Ambassador. This is the final day of this series, and I am happy that we're here today, but also sad at the same time because I will definitely dearly miss you all, having a conversation with y'all. But first, I would like to introduce you to TorontoJS. Toronto JavaScript Group is a tech community that is based in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We are a family, and I call this a family because we're such a close-knit community, tech community, that we're there to support each other, having all the resources to help each other be successful in their tech career. Not only that, we are a diverse group of folks who are in the space with different kind of education background, different exposure to technology, as well as gender, breadth, culture. All of the things that you can imagine is in this community, and I'm super happy to be one of the organizers of TorontoJS. That being said, we are celebrating International Women's Day with Women Techmaker ambassadors. As me as one of the Women Techmaker ambassador, as well as a Woman Techmaker ambassador from Argentina, who I am going to introduce soon. Our theme for this year is progress, not perfection, and we are also trying to break the bias in the space to make sure we are moving the dial forward a little bit more at a time. So if you haven't joined us from the past 2 days, the structure of the next 90 minutes is really talking about the topic that we selected, the challenges that we experience as underrepresented groups in the space. At the same time, I would love to hear your comments and question, and to encourage you to have that conversation with Giuliana and I. This is a very engaging live session. We're with you live. So throw your comments and question in the chat. We would love to hear from you. Last but not least, I would like to emphasize that this is a safe space for all of you. We have a community that is respectful for one another. TorontoJS has a code of conduct that we follow. If you are experiencing something of unfairness that you want to report, please visit the code of conduct. It's also in the description below this channel. You will be able to see that as well. There is a section where you can report an incident. I hope that does not happen today. And yes, we just hoped you would have a fun time with us. And as part of this process, this session, we also want to encourage you to engage with us in the chat, so that when it comes to random prize draws throughout the 90 minutes, you will get a chance to win one of the choices of educational program donation that is up to $50 US, as well as an online course of your choice, and or Google Nest Mini. And again, you will see in the chat that we are collaborating with Latin America, so there will be folks who are speaking a different language than English. Our volunteers in the chat will be able to be there to translate those messages into English. Today's session will be conducted in English, and I hope y'all enjoy this. Now I would like to introduce you Giuliana, the WTM Ambassador from Argentina. Giuliana, please tell us a bit about your involvement with the Argentina group.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me again, and thank you for being on Thursday, the last day. For those who being here for the last 2 days, you already know me. I'm Giuliana, Woman Techmaker from Argentina, also GDG Cloud from Buenos Aires. I'm an engineer, data scientist, and also human experience designer. I love being part of this community because, like we've said before, it has brought us together from the long part of the same continent, but Toronto and Argentina and Buenos Aires being so far apart. Now we're having these conversations that I think that we're bringing all over the world, people together and talking about issues that are really important today in the tech world. And I think that this needs not to stop here, but these conversations need to keep being part of the continuously progress and not perfection topic for the rest of the year.
Yes, 100% agree. And to introduce myself, I am Sherry Yang. I am one of the organizers with TorontoJS, also a Woman Techmaker Ambassador in Canada. I am currently based in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So I'm sort of like an ambassador coast to coast for Canadians. I am a software engineer by trade, currently in the leadership role as I am leading a team that's crossed 3 continents. And I am super happy to be part of this initiative and to celebrate International Women's Day with y'all. And like, I personally want to see more people like us, like Giuliana and I, to be involved with tech, because we bring in different perspective on into products and creation as part of the process. So that is where that I would like to see and encourage more and make more awareness of people who are actively in the space. So, the topic of today is web accessibility for all. And this is definitely a very interesting story for me. Throughout my career, I am an individual contributor to as various like engineering products, but at the same time, I never thought that I understand that yes, I am not everyone, and I champion that I am not everyone, and I need to create user story for different kind of personality. But I've never seen someone who fully experienced a product with a disability. So I first truly noticed the importance of web accessibility was at a conference by ALITO. So this is a group that is based in Toronto, who are focusing on web accessibility, and they had a conference that they invited Slack to do a talk on the effort that is being done in Slack to include more people into the space, as well as like all their web accessibility tools for people who may use Slack differently. At this conference, I met a family where they were there to support their son, who is a visually impaired game developer. And the parents were sitting beside me, and they were showing me actually
I think Sherry, okay, so no, Sherry's having technical difficulties, so I'm gonna take this now. Yes, I think I'm gonna talk about accessibility from my point of view with somebody that has a invisible disability. I do have an invisible disability, which causes me sometimes in the tech world to have nobody really, when I'm really, right now I urge you, so I'm so sorry, but this Sherry leaving the screen really like threw me off. So I'm sorry if I'm slow right now, but I think that what Sherry was trying to say is that, and I believe this too, is that unless an user experience was really created and based on the white cisgender male perspective, and unless you don't have somebody that, okay, has a disability and you see it and you know what that person needs, then you don't connect the dots and see, okay, how can I make this technology or this whatever you're trying to do make better for that person? Because unless you know somebody, then you're not thinking about how to make things better. So I think that is what Sherry was trying to say. And hi Sherry, you threw me off, so I was like, okay, I'm taking it
so
from
sorry.
here.
Yeah, of course, on day 3, I have a network issue. So I am using my amazing way to get back to the network using all my knowledge.
Sherry's back.
I am back.
Giuliana is leaving.
I know that I was telling a story, but I don't want to interrupt you. Giuliana, could you fill me in?
No, I was saying that I think that I agree completely that unless you know somebody that has a disability, and because you like the pioneers of user experience just created user experience with the white cisgender male perspective, didn't think of this. Unless you have somebody or know someone with a problem that never came up before. So um, this story that you are talking about is the story of user experience. I think user experience now, and usability now, and accessibility now, and is what today us as people in technology need to better and need to work for and need to think about. Because you know what? Guess what? You might have people that have invisible disabilities and you don't even know about. And so unless you know somebody and work for that person and work, oh, you know what, I know this person that maybe has like color blindness, and this technology isn't working for them because this they can work for that. Or I mean, for example, if you put now your closed caption, and I urge you to put your closed caption right now on you'll see that because of my accent, maybe it won't be perfect, and that is a mistake. And you know why? Because hearing impaired people would need to listen to this conversation, because this is what we are talking about: web accessibilities. Oh, the button is disabled. See? There, I mean, this is, and it's not a problem. I mean,
Yeah, so I know that YouTube has a lot of difficulty in terms of like live interpretation for dictation. So I'm sorry that that is not available right now. But as part of the recording, if you actually watch the recording with closed caption on, you will be able to see that the dictation is not perfect because Juliana and I both have an accent, and the way that we speak in certain terms and words may not be usable by by their AI technology, or being recognized by their AI technology, especially when it comes to technical terms that we use. That is not a phrase that is being used often, so AI doesn't recognize that, and they would make up words. And I see that a lot. So in a perfect world, we would love to have a live caption, closed caption person there typing away, and I've seen them in action. They are magical. They type super fast. They can follow the speaker alone, and there is no error, like margin of error. There's pretty small margin of error there. That being said, having that experience of seeing someone that is experiencing, just accessing the technology in a different way is definitely eye-opening for me. I know that Giuliana mentioned that she is someone who has an invisible disability. I would love to hear from you, Giuliana. Could you share some of the challenges that you may have currently accessing the web, or even devices that you may have as someone with an invisible disability?
Well, one of the challenges that I face is I have constant pain. Like I live with uh, 24-hour headache, like not a headache, migraines. So I I can my eyes really like bright lights, bright colors, bright yeah. The bright lights for me are really hard because that triggers the headaches a lot and the pains. So for me, that really the lighting itself for me really triggers the pain. And imagine I'm always on the computer, so or on my cell phone. So when you see that sometimes because you want to create also I mean spaces on the websites and spaces that are also very fun to go through because of the colors, but you don't think that the colors are also triggering to the people that have color. They triggered something in your eyes that is a disability. You have to think about everything that might trigger, and today's accessibilities, those are not problems. You think, or for example, color blindness today, it's also not looked into as much as, for example, what is more um, visual likeness than visual. How do I say this? It's more like I said on the other days, profit versus user. So we have to think, okay, what is it that we really are looking for? Because at the end of the day, disabilities are a percentage of also our users. So that is also our our profits, and we need to think about that as well.
And
So
that brings in the question that is in the chat right now, from local 8080. What advice do you have for developers who wants to get their team on board with accessibility? People like, especially developers, they're not thrilled to have that, it's like Jen mentioned, it's like an afterthought in terms of development. We need to create more awareness in that space, and it's good that, that if you already have the awareness, how may we bring up this initiative with the team? I think it's really important to have a talk or a team chat about like how important it is to have properly assessed tools.
Yes.
And let them know the importance of making a product that is accessible, that is friendly for everyone. In Canada, and I believe in the States, we do have government mandate to make sure web accessibility is being accounted for a company that is like greater than a specific amount of size. Like it's different from state to state, province to province, and they are different throughout. So there are lawsuits that is currently in process towards like not being a web platform that's not being um, uh, accessible for everyone. And that is something that we need to bring up to the table, because if we're developers, we are creators. Then we need to start the conversation on like, what can we do to make sure we don't get sued, or what can we do to make sure we can cater to everyone and not just for those who are abled.
Yes, I think that something really important that teams, and my advice, really one my advice is that you really need to know your data. I mean, you really need to know your data when you talk about accessibilities and design, because if you know your data, for example, you know that 15% of the world's populations have some sort of permanent disability. That's just like fact. And like 80% of the world's population, it's from it's Black, Asian, brown, dual heritage. I mean, it's a global majority. And there are still some sort of facial recognition that doesn't recognize this this racial, that there is non-racial recognition, and it's 80%. So if you know your data, you have to know your design. So for me, and that is why I think I came across these two paths in my career. Knowing your data will make yourself going through better design and technologies, because that is where we're going. You cannot make good tech. I mean, you cannot make any product or service or anything without knowing who you're doing it for.
Yeah. And like Mark mentioned in the chat, like if we are moving towards virtual reality, AR, VR, how, like, imagine those with visually impaired like issues, how can they experience that?
Yes,
Like,
I mean, I didn't. For me, the they're really, they need to work really with a better system for people that have like disabilities that they give me terrible headaches. I mean, I just really want to say that. I want to bring this up because for me, I hate it. I just want to be honest and open about it. I hate it because I suffer from it. Like, it
and you can
brings
see
me a
like,
lot of pain.
yeah, and like that's where Meta is moving towards, right? Like they want the
Yes.
virtual reality, augmented reality to be in the space, but how do we make sure we're including everyone into the space? And this is where, like, where we need to be aware. If we're creating a brand new society, is it inclusive? Is it actually considering all the people with different kind of ability? To be
Yes.
involved and to be part of this community. And that is something that we need to think about. I don't have the solution. I'm pretty sure Meta is trying to figure that out.
Yes.
And I love the fact that there is a general consensus in the chat, like, how do we make that as a priority? And the how is, the fact that you're asking that question is a really good indication that you are aware and you want to know how. And like, to be honest with you, like I mentioned before, is to bring that conversation and solve it as a team. It
Yes.
shouldn't be a one person problem. There shouldn't be just that one one web accessibility champion in the team. No, it should be an awareness for all the developers and everyone that is on that
But I think this is,
process.
and this is the grounding point of, and this is where I come across to why we need diversity in technology. Here is why we need diversity in technology. Because if we don't have diversity in technology, these solutions won't come out. I mean, until not too far, I mean, recently, very recently, we didn't even have emojis that had different skin colors or hair, or I mean, the emojis were just like same color and that's it. So if we do not have diversity in the teams, we would never have these answers. So please, this is why we are talking about not only women, and this is not International Women's Day, this should be an international diversity month.
Yeah, and really, like, that conversation starts with and Jen, like, this conversation can start from just your team immediately, and then bring it up to, like, if you want to make a development change, or you're actually implementing a code change in terms of improving that process for your product, then yes, bring in your product manager, and make sure, like, even your marketing manager should be on board with it, and your UX designer should be on board with it, because they are the one who is going to see the value, and more, like, to bring in that, like, awareness, not just internally for engineers, but also externally for your users, and let your user know, like, you care about not just for the ables, but also for everyone literally that uses
Yes.
or touches your product.
Yes. Yeah, because products, and I mean, I'm not talking about only, and yes, this topic is about web accessibilities, but let's go a little bit further into products, services, experiences. I mean, this is just not only about technology. Um, for example, the band-aids, there are still some countries, and I mean, Argentina, we don't have band-aids that have every color, you know? Like, we might have the transparent band-aid, but the square part, it's still like you can see it. So that is something that you start thinking about. Like I said, know your data, know your user. That will become your product.
Yeah, and as part of that too, like, once you start to recognize that you are creating a product that is for everyone, let's think about, there's a huge awareness when it comes to accessibility, and web accessibility is like showing you benefit. The famous curbside effect, when sidewalk curb was first invented. It was actually invented for those with wheelchair, to be able to get on to the sidewalk easier. But they later realized that women who are pregnant, they can use it to go up to these, like, little steps easier. Seniors can benefit from it. Those who are pushing a
Strollers.
trolleys, anything with wheels, can benefit from it. And that is what we call the curbside effect in the web accessibility space. Because when this invention came up, this was to help those with wheelchair, but we realize that it is benefiting for those who aren't abled. And it's also, like, if you really think about it, it's also the curb is also really good for, like, children's toddlers who cannot make that step. So again, like, it is for everyone, and it's beneficial for for not only the one that is intended for.
And this curbside effect applies also to, I mean, the closed caption. This is not only for the hearing impaired. This is for, I mean, sometimes, and I'm gonna say this with a lot of pride, but part of my learning of the language was by reading the closed caption. So it's part of the curbside effect. So, I mean,
yes, I'm on that train as well, because I'm an English as second language speaker. So for me, learning English was using closed caption.
Yes, and I think that, for example, right now it might be a very small step that you might see, but I think that is a big step. Instagram right now, just on their stories, they put the closed caption. It's a big step. I mean, don't take it as a why do I have to read what you're saying? But I mean, if you didn't have that, there were many people that couldn't know what those like Instagrammers were saying on up until now, that they really have the closed captioning. So you see, those little steps might change somebody's whole world. I mean, a little girl that look up to a singer now can know what she's actually saying by showing up her makeup on Instagram, just by reading her routine. And those little changes are what we need to know right now, and we need to change. And this also applies to, I don't know whoever noticed this, but design changed a lot in terms of there is not a non-binary design in on websites and applications right now, because you don't see pictures anymore. You see illustrations. I don't know if anybody, and give me some sign that you know what I'm talking about.
Before we get into that, though, I love that. I love that where we're going into. But before we get into that, I love what's happening in the chat. And I'm going to initiate a prize draw right now. Right now. So are you ready? Are we ready? And tell me, I'm starting to scroll. So let's do a prize draw. Tell me when to stop.
Oh, it's me. I'm
yes,
sorry.
You.
Now.
I have, it's falling on Jen Chen. It's falling on Jen Chen. And I know that she's here because Jen is a moderator. Yes. And and you know what, Jen, you do deserve it. So you do deserve it, but it's up to you. I'm still going to congratulate you.
Yes, Jen.
But for those of you who are in the chat, oh, she's rejecting the prize. No, you have to take it.
No, Jen,
Jen,
I don't know you, but I know you because you've tagged me in so many posts that I want you to have it.
Yeah, we can have another draw. We can definitely have another draw, Jen. But I believe you deserve it. And please, even though I know you're one of the organizers at TorontoJS, but I want you to email organizers@torontojs.com, and win that prize, because I believe like there are skill sets to be improved. So you know what? There are 3 choices that you can choose from: education program donation of your choice, a course or multiple courses of your choice online. Stop. as well as a Google Nest Mini. So again, Jen, you deserve it. Congratulations. All
Jen,
right.
give us a shout out
Give us a shout out on social
and
media.
tell us where you're from.
She's from Toronto, y'all. Okay. Well, let's do another one because she insists. Yes, accept it. Accept it. All right. All right. I'm gonna do another one. So Giuliana, tell me when.
When?
Oh, I have it on Nadia. Oh, Nadia Tahiri. Are you still with us? Nadia, are you still here? I know Nadia. Nadia is a WTM ambassador.
Yay!
Is she still here?
Nadia.
Nadia.
Nadia, give us a whoop whoop.
Nadia
Yay!
won? Oh, yes! She's here. She is here. Nadia, congratulations. You have won.
Nadia, where are you from?
Draw. Nadia, where are you joining from? Sherbrooke. She is joining from Sherbrooke, Canada. She's in Sherbrooke. So yes, thank you so much for being here.
I want also to give a shout out to Beatrice that she's relaxing and meditating, and I want some of your advice on the comments.
Yes. Yeah, so Nadia, please email organizers@torontojs.com to claim your prize. Again, the prize selection is an education donation of education program donation of your choice, or an online course of your choice, or a Google Nest Mini. Thank you so much for being here. Let's keep this chat going. All right. So before we went into the price draws, we were talking about designs. Giuliana was asking what, like, have you recognized designs, especially user experience design, that is in the space that are actually improving in a way that that has no it is more in terms of like identification is fluid. Giuliana,
Yes.
share more about that.
Yes, somebody mentioned that the trend of the illustration. Well, it is not a trend. It is not a trend. It is actually very interesting because it's a way of not putting labels on people, which is, yeah, it's everywhere because it needs to be everywhere. And it's beautiful because you now not you don't see, if you don't see shapes, like, I mean, you don't see people like with shapes as forms. I mean, there are no model figure forms.
A really
Just
good example would be the platform called Mindfulness.
what I'm trying to say is that you don't see any more colors, you don't see any more. It's just everything is a non-binary design of what the world should is or look like. So there are no skin colors, it's just colors. There are no body shapes, there's just shapes. There are no genders because there are shapes. So what they're trying to prove is that, or we are trying to prove with this design, is that we're all people.
We are, and
So we are all we're all the same, and we're not differentiated by gender, color, race, sexual preference, or any kind of label that society has put on us. So that is what illustration in application and web design is put on right now. And it's not a trend, it's what we should be seen as humans right now. Yes, it is a trend, but it's what we should be perceived as. That we look, and for us to look at this as a trend, it's actually trying to define that right now we see this as also that we have to work on ourselves and see that we're also putting labels in people still. So let's stop labeling and start equalizing, like design and illustration is equalizing and breaking the bias.
Exactly. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of like really pushing the boundary in terms of creating an inclusive space for everyone. And at the same time, like we are seeing more awareness in the space as well. Like there's more people talking about web accessibility. If you ever notice on Twitter, if you follow hashtag ally A11Y, that is the short form for accessibility. And that is where you can find a lot of like talks about people bringing awareness in the space and the difficulty and challenges that they've been through on a daily basis. For for me, I think like because I'm an able person, I need those kind of feedbacks and like be part of the conversation. Well, not like I can't really give any inputs, but I want to hear those stories, and I want to make sure like those stories are being heard, and consider them as a person, as a use case, as a user story, as a persona, so I can adhere to when it comes to being mindful when I'm creating a new product or in the process of developing a new product or new feature.
Yes, also there is something that I would like to comment about who you follow on social media, because there is some sort of um, because it's becoming a trend on diversity with innovation. um, Try to also not to get misguided and misled by people who just want to talk about, I mean, innovation and diversity, like eating TikToks, and not read. I mean, know your data and be curious. If you're what you're reading and what you're looking at, it's actually real, because there are many people out there that are not having the real answers to the problems that we're trying to work for. And so when we're talking about innovation and web accessibilities and how to make a better, I mean, better technologies for everyone, let's make sure that we have the good sources out there and have the curiosity to know who we're following and see if those are the sources that we want to really hear from.
Yes. And I also want to like let you know call out for actions for those who are able in the space. It's is no longer okay to say I don't know. We need to like take action. We need to be proactive when it comes to solutioning, and think literally outside of the box, outside of our comfort zone, outside of our knowledge, and gain experiences from other user story. And encourage your team to have different personas when it comes to how you designed your features and your product. and how their user journey would be like when they experience your tool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I'm sorry, Sherry, if I want to say something about that. I think that what you say is amazing. There is no I don't know anymore. The answer is, if you don't know something, there is an answer out there, and there is a person out there as well to help you find that answer. So adding to that, just look for on your team and everything, like I said before, data, it's everything. Know your data and know your user, because that will take you to, I mean, it's not only the product, it's, I mean, the idea is just 1%. The problem is 99. So that will always be the answer. So just focus on that, because we will always have ideas, and ideas just are beautiful, but just 99% is what we have to focus on, and that 99% comes with the user that will use that 99%. So know that, focus on that, who is going to be the main character of that 99%, and then work with your team to better that product and work for that problem.
Mhm. I do want to bring in Beatrice's question earlier on when they ask what are we doing to create or promote more diversity in technology. Um, we as a community are creating awareness. The more we do go out there and talk about it, the more we will reach to people who are already in the space and can hear the story. I think creating awareness is number one. Number two is to create actions to solve the problem. And that is like that's almost like pretty much the most important. First of all, we need to know that the problem exists. Second of all, we need to make sure we're actually actively looking at those problems and trying to create ways to solve them. The diversity in technology problem exists, and we can only make sure, like, we're talking about it, we're creating a team that is diverse, so that we get perspective from different kind of areas. And at the same time, like I mentioned, like I said before, like, it is not a one engineer's job. It's a whole entire company's job to be aware of who's using your product, what may be something that you need to improve on. And there are government efforts to make sure, like, there are mandatory actions that a company needs to do their due diligence. So aside from that, we need to, yes, not only fulfill the bare minimum, but also go beyond and be aware, like, you are creating something great, and this is something that you should um, think about when it comes to solutioning.
Agree. Like I said, we might have, and we might be working on ideas, we might be working on projects, but if we don't work also on solutions that work for everyone, we might as well just like keep ourselves on. Not only when I started thinking about this 3-day conference that we're doing, this topic for me is really important, because it is not only about diversity in the teams, but it's diversity and accessibilities for the future. Because if we're not only working for having diverse mindset within the team, that's not we're not gonna see that in the end product. So I think they come hand in hand. Work on that. I think that for me, that is just um, my my advice, my opinion, and just try to really look at different points of view, bring different ideas, different solutions, and better future.
Yeah. And I do want to highlight that there are companies out there that is very aware of these challenges that is already in the tech space. So when they acquire a new piece of tech tool that they want to use internally, they actually would request a product accessibility assessment for the company who are creating the product. And there is a template called Voluntary Product Accessibility Template, short for VPAT. This template is being used now so that product creators can assess their product so that they can provide to their clients to let them know that here's our bar, and this is our effort to create a tool that is going to be accessible for all. And that kind of effort speaks volumes when when your client is asking you for that. And that is something that we could definitely be more aware of. I know my company is doing our best to make sure we fall under the proper accessibility assessment, as well as trying to be more aware of how we test our tool, and having framework around that to have accessibility assessment. Number one thing in React is like the latest React testing library has that ingrained. It's actually trying to drive more accessibility friendly front end development than anything. So if you do use that test library, you will be able to see like a lot of awareness around like you didn't have an alt tag. This button does not have a role, or like those sorts kind of things to make sure as a developer you are aware of your user and how it can come up as a problem for people who are using your platform. From 075 to Duarte, how can I make change in my job for more diversity being just an employee? Do you want to answer that, Giuliana?
I mean, aren't we just all employees? So if you want to make a change in your job, in diversity, I mean, what is the change that you want to do in terms of the diversity? That's my first question that I would ask. If it's on the product that you're creating, or on the hiring that you want to make, because those are two different things. But if it is on the technology that you're doing, or the product that you're working on, I would say, hey, listen, I don't think this might work on this level because of this, and show how you can better the product that you're doing. I think that's my advice, because you're improving your job. That, for me, that's my advice. So that is one opinion. Other thing, if it's on the hiring, that might be more difficult, but just say, also bring on whatever is that you're working on, and say, hey, if we get different perspectives on this, maybe we can, how about if we get different perspectives on this, and bring also the, I don't know how it works on your country. Where are you from? First of all.
Yeah.
But
having that conversation is definitely difficult. Abby in the chat mentioned, to tackle accessibility, we should think about how implicit bias and ableism combined. So for 075 Duarte, it might be that conversation. Hey, are we being biased here?
Yes.
If it's a technology conversation, bring that up to your to your team and ask them, are we being biased here? Have we ever tried to assess our tool in this way? Um, have we ever considered, color blindness because our website is just full of color? Like, and what value are we bringing to the customer, to the users? That is the number one thing you want to, because, yes, we are creators, but the only way to keep us going to make more interesting products and solution is value, money. So when you bring money into the equation, you would be like, we're not adding value to our customer by making this in all these flashy colors. So can
Yes.
we actually reconsider it, and actually bring it up to the design team and ask them, like, this is great, but can we make this in like tone it down a little bit so that we can have inclusive design, also be able to pass accessibility assessments. These kind of conversation, if you do bring it up to the team, it's going to be an interesting conversation, but I also think that it will be a meaningful conversation for your team to look at your product in a different lens.
Yes. And I mean, just to add to the color blindness, it's just not only, I mean, the color. To add into the colors, not only for the color blind, but for example, people with dyslexia, too much contrast, it's triggering to people that have dyslexia, and not too many people know that. So start knowing your users. I mean, and everybody right now is a user, so start knowing these things, because at the end of the day, it's gonna help you, and it's gonna help whoever you're want to give this to. For example, I have a friend who has an app, and he told me that he had this amazing app that he was using, like this face recognition and blah blah blah. But well, he didn't need the face recognition for racial people yet, because it wasn't their target. I'm like, what? Like, everybody is your target, and you're just like, you need to start working on that. Like, you don't know who your target is until you have one.
Yeah.
So yes, so
And that
you
and
need.
and that would be like, from a product manager's perspective, like they want everyone to use their product. They want to have more users and more clients, right? So and I'm not sure if your friend is more of an engineer to not think about that, but like from the revenue perspective,
I know he
you
was in
know,
the revenue, so.
oh gee. Oh gee.
Yes, no, because and he was like, yeah, I was thinking that maybe right now they're not using them. So I'm like, why? Because maybe you don't have too many people of color in the country. So if, how do you plan to scale up your? I mean, there are so many problems right there, and I don't want to get too much into this, but everybody should be your customer. Everyone should be your user.
I love that. Yes, everyone should be your customer and everyone should be your user. Yes. And you are not everyone. Don't use
Yes,
yourself as an example.
yes,
Because you are not everyone. The way that you use your tools, your product, your solution is not going to be that the way. It's not going to be the way. Quote of
yes.
the day.
Whoop whoop.
um,
Tag
yeah.
me.
All right. That's, I think right now is a good time to do another draw. Yeah. Prize time again. So I'll give you like 2 minutes to fill up the chat with monkeys. And then we'll see. But yes, prize time again. So fill up the chat. Uh, don't spam it too much. But I will go ahead I will go ahead and scroll again, and Giuliana, you were going to tell me when to
Stop.
stop. I'm falling on PB.
Peanut butter jelly time.
I'm falling on PB. Is PB still here?
PB was talking right now, so I know. Abby searching.
No, it's not. Again, I think I am not. I feel like everyone deserves a prize, especially when my mouse just fell on your name. So you're not donating a prize. You are just equally deserving. You're equally deserving. I will do one more. Okay, I'll do two more.
Yes.
Two more. Let's do two more.
Yes.
Equally deserving.
You all deserve to be winners.
Yes. And PB, you know the drill. Please contact organizers at TorontoJS.com. I know you're part of the team, but Sherry is loaded, so let me just give these prices out, okay? But yes, you're equally deserving, even though you're you are a part of the volunteering team, but I want you to know that I respect you. And okay, let me scroll again and let's start that draw again. Tell me when.
When?
Beatrice, relaxing, meditating.
Oh, I called that out before.
Yeah, is Beatrice still here? Do we still have Beatrice?
Beatrice, please give us your relaxing meditating tips.
Yes. Are you still here, Beatrice? Say something. Hello. Beatrice once. Beatrice twice.
No, she didn't win. I said that I needed her relaxing tips.
Do we still have Beatrice?
She went meditating.
Oh no, Beatrice left.
Beatrice, you left. She relaxed too much.
Oh no. Okay, Beatrice, third time. No, we don't have. Okay, well, I'm scrolling again. I am scrolling again. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Karine Pistini.
Karine
Pistini is the next one. There. Do we have Karine? Is Karine here? Yes! Brazil!
Brazil!
Congratulations. With that, and I know I have one more. I have one more to give out, but Karine. Please contact organizers at TorontoJS.com. I know the Brazilian teams are contacting the internally with Giuliana and the organizers. So let me know if you have any questions. Again, the prices selection is education program donation of your choice, an online course of your choice, or a Google Nest Mini. So yes, congratulations. Let's do another one because that was a redraw from Beatrice. So I have one more. And then we'll keep on going.
Can we just say that we're having fun today?
We are having a lot of fun today. And also,
yes.
like, where is the monkey coming from? Is this like a YouTube live thing?
I don't.
I noticed that this monkey is very unique, but
Can somebody show me the monkey?
Yeah, if you are actually on YouTube channel, then you will see the monkey. You won't see it in our
I'm not
podcast.
on the YouTube, but I want to see the monkey. But you'll
I can show you the monkey. But okay, all right. So, I'm scrolling. Tell me when.
now.
Louise Campolin. Is this
Luis,
correct?
oh, Luis Campolim. Oh, Luis,
Campolin.
you've been asking a lot for a prize, so congratulations, you won one.
Congratulations, Louise Campolin. Okay. The monkey does work. The monkey does
The
work.
monkey pays off. Yes.
Louis is not here. What?
Yeah,
No,
he
Louis is here.
is.
He is
He
here. Okay,
is.
okay. Louis is here. Congratulations. And this is a Brazil win again. Spamming pays off. Your monkey is paying off. Um, Thank you so much. And again, I love the fact that y'all are having a good time in the chat with us. And I do want to bring back the attention. I know we were talking about web accessibility for all. We talked about how the current UX space is trying to improve from design, and also just like the fact that we're putting more effort into creating awareness of disabilities and invisible disability and visible disability. We're creating awareness about people's user experience in this space, and I would love in the future to be able to see technology tools that is both genderless and raceless. Having AI technology that caters to everyone, having AI to be able to recognize that there are differences out there. So having more diverse engineers who are putting um, intentional effort to develop tool sets and technology that is going to be inclusive in the space. That being said, Juliana, what are some of your hopes and call out for actions?
My hopes are that people like the chat conversations that we're having. Not only that they love monkeys, but that they want to change and ask how they can have better. How can they ask their employees and their teams to make better projects? I think that what can they do? What can they do? Start asking what can we do? Because this is not working. I think that this and actually start testing. Start asking yourself, is this working? Is this working for everyone? Because if you start getting outside your own bubble, you will start seeing that maybe it's not working for everyone. So my first advice and my first hope is that you will start looking outside and seeing if it is working, and then start going in and say, okay, maybe, hey, let's work for a better solution. And you have the tools to do so. um, start testing. Start testing.
Yeah, we had a question from Murillo earlier about is there a way to know like I'm doing the right thing when I'm trying to make sure it works for the user? You know, like the recommendation, I mean, the answer here sort of like from Juliana sort of applies, because like if you start testing, knowing that under a persona, change your lenses and under a persona's like user perspective, this is where you would find out like you're doing something correct or not. And if you are working for a company that has the budget to have direct user feedback. So go to the community and ask for people with, like, if you're trying to do like a colorblind test, find a test user who is colorblind and ask them to use your tool. And that's where you get pure feedback from someone who's actually having that disability. So if you do have the budget, that is the best way to get to know your user, to actually pay someone to use your tool as a testing platform. Like, do your alpha test, beta test to a specific user group that has that could experience different would use your tools in a different way. And that is something that you can be assured that, hey, I'm doing this right.
Yes. And iterate as many times as you need to get, I mean, while testing, iterate to get that result that you're hoping for. Because, I mean, it's not wrong to fail. It's not. So if the first time didn't come as expected, you will do it as many times as you need to. But for the users that, like I said, everyone is your user. So you will have to test as many times as you need to. But you, at the end of the day, the product that you're achieving is what you work hard for, and you'll pay it off.
Mm-hmm. And localhost 8080 gave a really good tips here, like starting to look at your development work using voiceover. Gosh, is that daunting? It's a very unique experience for sure from a developer's perspective. So try it, because you never know, and you have to really get that experience to really speak, like to make sure you are cutting away all the obstacles and challenges for them, right? As for a diversity diversity, equality, and inclusion team, DE&I team. Like, ask for a dedicated accessibility expert for your company, and
Yes.
ask the company to get those people for you, because they're the expert who are in the space, and they will be able to tell you and have a session with your product team and let them know, hey, this is where are you setting at in terms of the spectrum. And that is valuable things to make sure you are aware of. We have more
Yes.
questions from the audience. One from Gustavo: usability labs in the uni can be good solution to develop something more accessibility quickly. Could you share
I don't understand the. I'm sorry, Gustavo, but can you rephrase the question?
Can you elaborate on that question, please?
Yes.
Meanwhile, Gustavo is typing away. There's one question from Michelle. I have an app that I've been developing and it will be released soon. It's better to release the first version with just some accessibility option, or hold it and offer a more complete accessibility experience? That's a really good question.
Yes.
And I mean, echo to Giuliana's perspective, like, yes, iterate and improve. If it's ready to release and you've done a first I can say this word, preliminary assessment for accessibility, that is good to begin with. But if you want to make sure certain feature of your app is properly done in terms of web accessibility, be very focused on that. Share that with the community, and ask for those feedback specifically on accessibility.
Yeah, I would say the pilot test, like Jen just said, pilot test, and I would have like an experimentation board. I don't know if you guys do that, but I would definitely just do the pilot test, see if yeah, you gotta start somewhere, and maybe just like do that as a beta app. Do not stop, iterate, it will get better. And if you really want to just like offer more of that accessibility experience, just move forward towards that, um, and keep working towards more than just one experience, but like a whole accessibility app. Because like I said, there's not just one problem and one when we're creating apps, we just there's not a problem that we need to think about. Like we thought that color blindness, it's a problem with a lot of colors, but like I said, this is a problem also for people with dyslexia. So there you have two problems. So think about this experience for a lot of other experiences in terms of accessibility. So keep working, but just don't stop, because that might get you also frustrated, and we don't want that. I think yeah, pilot test. I would agree with Jen.
So I was trying to clarify the question with Gustavo, and I believe Gustavo is trying to say there are usability labs in your university, in Gustavo's university, which is very cool to see. I do not believe my school had that. But if you have a specific department in your university or in your area, for sure they can be a really good resource for you to utilize. And like, you know, even like the fact that if you want to do a pilot testing, bring your app to them and see if like you can create a chance for them to like help you improve your application or your tool. So yes, if that is the kind of resources that you can get, do utilize them. It's really hard right now for companies to get people like a focus group like that. So we like for public companies, we actually have to outreach to specific communities and ask for a focus group, and sometimes we cold call a certain community and to see if we can get people to get that kind of usability tests.
Yes,
So
and
thank you for
also
the question.
try like urge your team leaders to always have somebody that kind of has a better idea of accessibility in within the experience, because they might help you throughout the process. So I think that this is something that the team should all work on, in having a team. I mean, every team should have an expert, and if you don't, maybe you should be the one.
Yeah, and you know, and perhaps this is an action that we're calling out now. For you in the chat, knowing that you are aware of the web accessibility challenges that we presented today, bringing that conversation with your team and ask like, how do we make sure we are creating a product that is for everyone? Like I personally am the accessibility expert, and I wouldn't call myself an expert, I'm sorry, but in like someone who is experienced with creating the awareness as well as like assessing the tools that I create and features and products that I create to be accessible. So I often give that like talk like, hey, we should do some assessment here. I am, and I will be the champion for initiatives, and make sure like that is something that we're moving forward within my product team. So I am that accessibility champion in my team. So I urge you to do so as well. There's another question. Karine asked, to be that expert, how should I start? To start is to become that user first. So experience what they're experiencing. Google Chrome actually have really great accessibility assessment tool called Lighthouse. It's under the dev tool bar, and you will be able to see Lighthouse. And that is where, and they have a full documentation on how to use Lighthouse. So Google Chrome actually have accessibility tools to assess your web application for that. And there's a lot of resources that's in the chat right now from Jen and localhost. Check those link out. There is like WK standards for web accessibility. So those are really good resources to touch base on. To become an expert is hard, okay? But start with like that first step of like trying out your application, your solution with that lens first. Get that first assessment from Google and see how it goes. And then Firefox also has like accessibility tool as well in terms of development tools. If you like to use Firefox, there is an accessibility tab. What else?
Also there are, if you really want to get into being an expert, there are UX expertise courses. I would never call myself an expert on anything because there is always a little space to keep growing, and you would I think that calling yourself an expert, you will be very, I will never call myself an expert on anything, but knowing more on whatever you want to be curious and find whichever path you would like to go into, and find your study. There are a lot of courses into accessibility design.
Yes.
There are.
If you are a winner of our prizes, there is online courses out there to train
Yes.
yourself to become an accessibility expert. And you know what? Giuliana and I should own that title, really, because we're someone who championed accessibility in the space, and we are someone who are aware of what to do when it comes to improvement. As developers, as engineers, we are growing and learning every day. We can't stop learning because technology is a forward moving growing thing. So that web accessibility is part of that. And yeah, I love the fact that we get that this chance to be able to like share some of our insights with y'all.
Yes, but do take one of those. All of you who won prizes, and if you're interested in this, take one of those courses into maybe accessibility design. And for example, there are amazing gender analytics perspective design that exists.
That's a course.
That's a course. Check that. Check that out.
Yeah.
So there are many courses that have this into their perspective, and just I think that my best advice to kind of close this amazing 3-day get together, I would call it. I would say get together, because for me, doing this with you, Sherry, it's more of a fun get together. But we had invites. I would say never lose your curiosity, because if you lose it, you'll never find out that there are always more things to do. So as long as you're curious, you'll find solutions for all the problems that are out there. And I think that for us, that we're in this amazing world of technology, it is up to us to keep going and keep growing our curiosity, and never lose that, and keep like cherishing that, like children cherish their curiosity. We should have that, because that's what will keep us, or will keep you going into like more and more, well, like today's accessible solutions and better solutions for tomorrow's problems.
Yeah. And I love that. I think it definitely, if you missed the talk on day 1 and day 2, they are recorded and being broadcast, or not broadcast, being are available to you on the TorontoJS YouTube channel. So if you're curious what we talked about on day 1 and day 2, feel free to rewatch them. Again, follow us on any social media, Twitter, LinkedIn. Join us on Slack. That conversation is always going. Be curious, as Giuliana's mentioned, and just like my final words for the International Women's Day celebration is definitely like, think outside of the box. Like, be uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable. Make that first step outside. Ask questions. And you know what? As a woman in tech, I it's okay to ask me questions. And it's actually okay to ask me, is it okay if I?
Yes.
That's okay. For allies out there, please reach out. Please ask me if it's okay if I. And that's okay. I am open to that conversation, and I want that conversation. So for all the allies out there, reach out to underrepresented team members that you may have, and just create a happy space for everyone.
Yes, and just so you know, and we had this little topic yesterday, which is a huge topic. We all go through like the that how do you say that, imposter syndrome. Yeah, the imposter syndrome. Like we all go through that. Every time like I have this talks, like when the camera shut down on Sherry, I was like, no, I have to talk when I'm here by myself. Like, what am I doing? So yes, we all go through that every day. It doesn't matter if there is an expert, anything, if we have experience or not, seniors, not, we go through this. So reach out to us. This is a community, and that's why we're here. And we love having these conversations because it nurtures us. So Sherry and I met through a conversation like this, and this happened. So reach out to whoever you just met and have these conversations, because you don't know what might happen in the future.
Yes. So again, thank you all. I wish to see you all in the TorontoJS community. This conversation will keep going. We will do more live in this channel. I hope. I'm proposing. So let's keep this going. Thank you again.
Yes.
This is TorontoJS presents International Women's Day celebration with the Woman Techmaker Ambassador. We will see you around.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.